So, you know, after playing around with your device here, I came up with some interesting observations. And one of them is like what happens at exactly the point whenever the air is released when you make an attack. And I think that's part of the use of a device like this. And I started thinking about it because I play tennis, and I was thinking about what happens at the exact moment that as you're serving, which would be like the attack in a piece of music, when you're serving, when you hit the ball, what happens? Well, the ball, if you were to see it in slow motion, the ball would compress a little bit, and the strings would bend a little bit, and then they would spring apart. There is energy at that very point. And that is perhaps a wasted moment in the way that we play. We don't really do that. Players that are very, very good do an instinctive, correct way of using the air as the attack. But most people, I think this would be an interesting point for you to look at. Now, the first thing is, it's like you take a breath, and you hold it, and you push against your finger like this. So do that. You're just pushing. Now, if you're feeling like the diaphragm, the throat, everything is all open, okay? Relax. Now, do the same thing and release with it when I tell you to release with the finger. Do that. Release. Now, do you hear?
Yeah.
You can actually feel like the air is really welling up from the inside.
Yeah.
Now, that's a very important point, because a lot of players, well, they'll try to manipulate the attack, and they'll try to manipulate it in a way that they're trying to get a soft attack. They're trying to make sure that the conductor doesn't like a real hard sound. You know, we're always worried about that.
Yeah.
But if you notice, when you do that, the air is released beautifully.
Yeah, and freely too.
Okay, and freely. So take a piece of paper.
Okay.
And I want you to put it between your lips, and I want the inside of the piece of paper, this little piece of toilet paper rolled up, and I want you to put it so that you can actually touch the tip of that piece of paper with your tongue. Can you do that? Now what I want you to do is I want you, instead of using the finger to stop the air, I want your tongue to stop the air. I want you to feel exactly the same way. Feel exactly the same way. Now, just bring the tongue back. Not bad. Not bad. Did you notice how far it went?
Yeah, it went really
a lot farther than you thought it was going to go.
Yes, exactly.
That's the power.
I didn't think it's going to go.
No. That's the power of the release if it's done correctly. Yeah. It's exactly the same thing as what we're talking about in tennis. If you hit the ball at the right place, at the right time, with the right speed, with no slowdown, you get this power. And that's exactly what you were feeling. Now what you did was you stopped the air with your tongue, and you released it. And watch how far this goes. See how far that went?
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty far. That's power. That's the power of the attack. But the interesting thing is that it's the air releasing. The big problem with a lot of attacks on the instrument is that there's no air right behind it, so it sounds hard and harsh. So what we're looking at here is trying to make this release of the air with the air behind it, with no stop. And that's exactly what you felt.
Yep.
Try it again. So make sure that you feel the air behind that. Now, just bring the tongue back. And it just, again, you see how far it goes?
Yeah.
That, again, that's power. That's exactly what you want to do on the mouthpiece. Do that. Hold the tongue. Now, release. Do you notice that there's no there's no
No,
okay?
It's right.
There's an immediate release of the air that's very strong.
And response too.
And that's exactly, if you do this, that's exactly what you get. Try that. Hold the air, And now release. You notice how absolutely instantaneous that is?
Yep.
That's the point. Now, if you were to play the trumpet, you would hear a note that is solid. It doesn't sound harsh. There's no accent. It's just a solid
Just
tone.
a pure.
And that is what you should be trying to do. You should be trying to make that release give an almost instantaneous. You notice it's almost instantaneous.
Yep.
That is the correct attack. It gives you a beautiful round sound without any harshness. So that's one of the things that I learned from this. Now you continue to stop the tone, I mean stop the air.
Yeah.
You can stop it, but you can't go. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
You have to. That's the kind of intuitive thing that you have to learn from this. But what I'm just explaining is something that I picked up from it, that the air has to be released with almost an aggressive air pressure behind that release of the air.
Yeah.
It has to be aggressive. We don't want to do that because conductors tell us that we use too much accent. But the reason they hear too much accent is because there's not enough air. And that's kind of it sounds like a contradiction in terms, but it's not. There you go.
And do you think this is helpful only for trumpet players, for brass instruments, or?
I can't say.
A really good feedback from flute players.
No, flute is very, very similar to the trumpet. You play the flute the same way. I've heard that from a former colleague of mine who played associate principal flute in the Atlanta Symphony, who had, during her high school years, also been principal trumpet in the New Jersey All-State Band as first trumpet. So, you know, there's a similar, you know, she says playing the trumpet, playing the flute are very, very similar in terms of the air and the release of the tongue.
Okay. How about for double tonguing and triple tonguing? What did you...
Well, the thing is, the K syllable is further back in the mouth. So the air releases at a slower and less pressurized way in the front of the mouth. And you have to compensate for that by making sure that the K syllable is faster and lower. So that ta-ka, you can't go ta-ka, it's got to be ta-ka.
Yeah.
That's getting the tongue lower so that the air is moving more rapidly and faster.
Yeah.
And sooner. That's the key.
Yep.
People will misunderstand the word faster. It's sooner. And that trains you to do that.
Great.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you very much.